morning, South Florida, and welcome to the breakfast at the Brooklyn Cafe TV.
Take a deep breath and a good whiff of that coffee brewing. Grab yourself some toast, a donut, or any breakfast as Dawn and Freddie get you up and ready for the rest of the day.
So call in at 888-565-1470 to share a tip of the day.
Or just to say good morning. Shake off your sleepies, buckle in, cause it's showtime!
And that would be the problem. Welcome to the Brooklyn Cafe. And the bike boxes aren't on. We are off air for 13 seconds.
Good morning to you. Happy Friday.
That's all right. Happy Friday. After the week we had, that's a minor technicality.
Well, I think we've had a spectacular week. Poor Teddy, we went to the post office yesterday. She put her head down and took a nap. We have worn our crew out. Did you sleep yet, Vinny? Vinny, do you sleep?
I have insomnia.
He has insomnia. Turn on all the mics.
That means we have not worked you hard. Teddy, that background is spectacular.
Hey, you know what? Taxi! Yo, taxi!
Teddy, that is awesome.
You remember in New York, were you guys ever in New York and you hailed a cab?
Yes. No.
You know how you did it? You went on the corner and you raised your hand?
Yeah.
Is that still such a thing?
No, now you go to the corner, you raise your hand, they shoot you.
So we used to play a game when we would go to New York on vacation. Who could get the most cabs? And guess who always won?
You.
Me. All I had to do is that, and I got a cab. Everyone else?
Fellas, I got a secret.
Everything.
I got a secret for you that any beautiful woman can get 100 cabs. You take this and you hold up money. Guaranteed that the cabs will run into each other to come get you.
Really? The more you know.
Guaranteed.
The more you know. Good morning, Amy Rashevsky. We have her painting. We changed it behind us. We're changing our setup. I love that we get to change everything up around here. We've got some new paintings, and we put a new one in Studio A, which is now sort of AKA an office because we're using this so much. But I got to tell you, our internship program has grown because now handyman, artist hanging is now part of the job description. Although I don't think anyone could possibly do it as well as Vinny and Slick do.
First of all, it's not called handyman hanging. That's ridiculous.
What's it called?
It is part of set design.
Oh, sorry. So sorry.
Hey, Teddy, correct her if she's wrong. Didn't you go to college and did set design in school?
Yeah, she has a mic too.
I know she doesn't use it.
She's like, really, guys? We drive poor Teddy crazy.
Hello.
Good morning, Teddy.
Good morning.
Set design, right?
Yeah, I did all design, so set, costume, and lighting.
Except in college, you have to create the design, right? You have to build it from scratch.
Uh-huh. Yep.
In Broadway plays and movies, they set those designs from scratch. Those are expert carpenters.
It is one of the amazing things I love about this studio is we constantly can change our set design. I mean, do you know how blessed we are? Do you know how lucky we are to have this space that we can do set design on and different shows when, again, we open? And we will reopen again for more shows, but right now, again, fortunately, we have the technology to do it virtual.
You make me laugh because the fellas are sitting here and they're going, okay, what are we going to move where?
It doesn't look like they're really thinking it through yet. It looks like...
No, they think it through. They sort of do it on the spurt. But the bottom line here is the set design is one of the trickiest things to do.
I know.
On any program.
More and more spaces. We really need like a 3x5 to fill this window. Amy or Jay, if you're listening, we need a new 3x5 back here.
Well, we're going to try something with a piece that's at the other studio.
Awesome.
We're going to bring it over to see if that'll fit in. If it doesn't, we'll build something around it. What I was thinking, is that I could build a box that is collapsible and open. So in other words, it's on a slider.
Okay.
So you put it in the window, and then whatever frame you want to put in the window, you can close it up to hold it in place.
That's interesting.
Yes, I do a lot of interesting things.
A box. We got some beautiful box baskets yesterday from Fuego, and you can see some of them are adorning our set. And yes, this would be fresh fruit, what's left after you and I ate it yesterday. We had a great show yesterday. We had the 2-minute warning with Benny Blades. That was a fantastic show. And
NFL player.
an
Played for the
NFL player, and of course,
played for the Kansas City
from the
Chiefs.
U also.
No,
It's
from the who?
interesting, from the U.
We don't talk about that.
It's real-
He was the roommate of The Rock.
I'm in the theater, and Teddy's running the show last night, and I hear a scream, and I'm thinking, she's sitting down. I don't think she fell. You're not running around. What happened? She's screaming, he's roommates with The Rock. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm kind of wondering why we can't get him here.
It's funny because The Rock's dad worked with us for over a year.
He did?
Remember?
No.
Yes. Yeah. The Rock's dad?
Worked with you and
Guy
me?
with the black hair and the mustache. Yes, when we were at BZT. Lisa Nowoskin brought him in. We
But
worked
it was
with
before
him.
my time.
Oh, I didn't know you? Oh, yeah. I got to work with The Rock's dad for over a year.
It was before my time.
And The Rock's dad, unfortunately, at the time, there was a family deal going on, which it's not my story to tell, and I couldn't get The Rock on the set. But his father was with us. You know that there's a whole story that he told us about The Rock and when he was in wrestling and that whole background. But what I didn't know was last night, the gentleman that got drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs as a defensive back or something, and he was roommates with The Rock, he said The Rock could not get on the field, meaning that the talent ahead of him was so good on that championship team that they had that he could not get on the field. He was good. He was a good
And
player.
now look.
And now look, he made it as a wrestler. He made it as a politician if he wants. He made it as a movie actor.
Oh, speaking of politician,
Yeah.
does anybody know? Are we actually announcing this platform?
Unfortunately, nobody responded to my calls for a banner.
No, but I know that is
So-
true. However,
It's all in the dark now. Nobody
ready
knows.
for president, apparently.
I am running for president, yeah.
I heard my cabinet spot, so I'm fine with that.
His,
but-
Slick has his cabinet spot
Yeah.
all reserved. What's Vinny's cabinet
A-
spot?
And it's funny because Dylan last night was handing out cabinet spots. You saw that? He was giving out. Hector is the Secretary of Defense.
Yes.
I mean, there's all sorts. And he's the communications liaison.
Communications. I know they're
That
hilarious.
just hurts my mouth saying it.
I like it. I think I'm getting more and more. I'm embracing this idea a lot more than I was yesterday.
What, President Santori?
Yes.
Why? Because you're the vice president.
No, it has nothing to do with me. But I'm thinking our whole crew, the whole cabinetry of what it is, not a kitchen cabinet, but I think it's interesting. It'll be a whole new perspective on life.
I think I'm going to bring in Danielle Bijon. And I'm going to get dressed up. As you remember the American patriot that says, the U.S. Army wants you, we want you.
We want you.
I think I'm going to get dressed up like that. He looks like an old-fashioned Kentucky Fried Chicken guy.
Did you ever serve in the military?
No.
Okay.
My brother said, I went to enlist. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
I went to enlist into the Navy. My brother was in the Navy. So I called my brother and says, hey, I got the paperwork. I'm going to fill it out. I'm going to go tomorrow to enlist. And he called me from, I think he was in Greece. And when you call in the day, it was done by satellite. So it was like you had to say over, over. Every time you talk, over. Harry, how are you? Over. So Harry goes, I heard that you are coming to enlist in the Navy. And I'm going to tell you right now, you stay in school. If I find out that you enlisted in the Navy, I will put a hit squad on you.
Nice.
You will not survive in the Navy. And I said, okay, this is my brother telling me this. He says, I don't want you in the military. So I didn't join. I was afraid. I was afraid of him.
How much older was he than you?
10 years.
Wow. Interesting.
I was an afterthought.
No. And your sister's how much older than you?
5 years.
So they're 5 years apart. So not really. Your mother had it perfectly planned.
My
every
mother,
5 years.
my mother, may she rest in peace. She's going to turn over her grave. Explained to me how I was made.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be the blue stork delivered you to her doorstep, right?
No, it would be there
No.
was a
Really?
there was a soap opera playing, and she liked Sir Frederick something something.
Yeah.
And my father came home early from work one day, and Freddie was made.
Is that where Sir Frederick came from?
That's where Frederick came from.
That's hilarious.
And it's a true story. And I says, Mom, you really? It's a good thing that soap opera was going, otherwise it wouldn't be here.
Well, you see the dog behind us, Walter Dean. Walter Dean was made so by his parents taking that little blue pill, and that's why Walter is blue.
Who told you
And
that
he's a boy.
story?
Well, it just makes common sense, no?
That's why he's blue?
Uh-huh.
That's Sir Walter Crapalot.
That is the mascot of Teddy Unscripted, Sir Walter Dean. We
Sir
dub him
Walter
Sir Walter Dean.
Crapalot.
Teddy, can we make him a Sir now? Oh, please, yes. So if we now dub him Sir Walter Dean, he will be on Teddy Unscripted this morning. Teddy, I think I sent you and Val an interesting segment for today, or whenever you guys want to use it. There is a college student that came out with a new way to package ramen noodles that is biodegradable, cooks faster, and is environmentally friendly.
Yeah, because ramen noodles is not good for you anyway. So why not make it biodegradable and it melts in the sun? Why not? What's it made of? Paper?
It's made of something, glycerin.
It's all made of You know how bad ramen noodles are for you?
Yeah, but people eat it anyway because it's cheap. Do you know that ramen noodles is probably now,
Ramen noodle.
in this day and age, is going to be spiking because it is so cost effective?
As a matter of fact, there's a shortage of noodles.
Because they're not really noodles. I
No,
don't
there's a
think.
shortage.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a back order.
Of what,
It's like
flour?
everything else.
Of
No,
flour and water?
It's made of glycerin, which is like a
Oh,
chemical.
you mean ramen noodles?
Yeah, ramen.
I have a question for you. You guys ever eat Campbell's soup?
Oh my God, yes. Now they have low
A long
sodium.
time ago.
A long time ago. Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Tomato soup?
Ugh.
Never eat Campbell's tomato soup?
Oh my
With
God.
grilled cheese?
No.
Really?
Chicken noodle soup.
Chicken noodle. How about you? Ever eat Campbell's?
Oh,
Tomato?
No, not at all.
No, not tomato. No.
It's
Just
horrible
regular Campbell.
tomato.
No.
It's too tomatoey.
Really? So the question was, do you mix it with milk or water?
None, because I don't
You don't
drink.
eat
I don't
it.
eat
Teddy,
it.
ever?
No, I don't think so.
Ugh.
Just think, that was such a staple. The
No, it
tomato
wasn't.
soup can from Campbell's. Andy Warhol built his entire career on pop art from that.
Yes, Andy Warhol was strange.
Did
He
you,
built
actually,
his
the
whole
piece
career.
Jay did yesterday, did you see that with
Yes.
Andy Warhol? Was
Yes.
spectacular.
It was really strange.
That was awesome.
He was looking at a picture of himself. So the picture was in this direction and he was in that direction.
Some of those pieces all of the pieces that he had commissioned that we saw on the screen yesterday were unbelievable. We're thinking, why don't we have them? Because they're hanging in someone's home already.
Yeah, we wanted the Rat Pack.
Rat Pack?
And he said, I sold it. I said, so do another one. He says, you can't do another one. That's why he sold it.
So, Campbell's tomato soup, anybody milk or water, which is really funny
It's
because
disgusting.
I used to eat that all the time.
Stop, you're
Tomato
gonna
soup
make
and
me ill.
grilled cheese. I'm telling you, I grew up in a kosher house, so you're kind of limited on the food.
Chicken noodle soup with a tuna fish sandwich was a staple in my house.
You and my dad, for sure.
Tuna fish sandwich with a chicken noodle soup.
Growing up or even as an adult.
And I'll do it now.
I'll order you Panera today. I'll give you a pick two. You can have a half a tuna fish sandwich and the chicken noodle soup.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Why pick two?
Why
a
the
half?
hell does anybody sell a half of a sandwich? Who gets the other half? What happens to the other half? I don't get it. Did they sell the other half to somebody
I
else?
mean,
You know what's funny?
you do go to Subway and you can order like a 6-inch or a foot long, so you do get.
Do you
half of
remember
a
the
sandwich.
controversy with Subway? They measured the damn thing and it really wasn't 12 inches and they sued and they lost.
Oh, I
So
didn't
now
see that.
every Subway sandwich has to be measured if they're going to say it's 12 inches.
Oh yeah, because the Subways I go to, they eyeball it. And
So,
then they
so
cut
let
it.
me ask you, you get soup in the sandwich. What happens to the other half of the sandwich? What's the other half? They sell it?
It's funny
They
because
eat it?
like a month ago, I think I ordered in Panera when we were all in quarantine here, and I got you a pick two, a half a tuna sandwich and the soup, and I was waiting for you. You were so hungry. I know you went looking for that other half of sandwich. You didn't say anything, but I'm thinking you need like a
was
whole
very
sandwich
upset.
and soup.
I listen, Panera, if you're watching, what do you do with the other half? Do you sell it? Do you eat it? Do you give it to somebody? Why not just give the whole sandwich?
I know, because they figure it's too much calories. People don't want all the bread, but that's what I was thinking. I remember that day looking at you thinking, you want that other half a sandwich.
Do you guys eat food based on calories? I know people that do this.
100%.
Why? How do you enjoy calories?
You don't.
110%.
How do you even think
Teddy's
about it?
talking to you.
What was that?
I said 110%.
110%. I know.
You know, it's really funny. The more I
Get on
count
the scale on a
calories, the
Friday.
heavier I
Is today a
get.
pancake day or not? Apparently 3 weeks, no pancakes
Who
because
cares?
I got on the scale.
Who cares about if you're gonna have a pancake? You have it because you want the pancake, not because let me weigh the calories.
Because you're a guy, it's different.
That's like dating.
Except for Gio and Slick. You guys don't seem to have that issue, right? You want a pancake, you have it. You want the whole sandwich, it's all good.
Yeah, it all depends now, but yeah, it's sort of kind of like that now.
We're
Yeah.
kind of like that now.
How come? First of all, when you drink a lot, you gain weight. So the whole formula goes out the window.
Yeah, true that.
Think about this.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you drink a lot, you gain weight, and you think it's the food. It ain't the food. It's the drinking, because calories in alcoholic beverages is 4 to 1.
Yes.
So I say, why count calories? If I'm going to drink, it's because I want to.
You sound like my mother.
If I'm going to eat, it's because I want to. if
Enjoy
I
life,
want
right?
to look slim, then don't eat. Put a staple in your mouth.
Pretty much it.
That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly. what it
Remember
is.
when we were growing up in high school and everybody smoked a cigarette?
No.
Oh yeah, well, I did it, but I did it because I wanted to be cool. And then I found out it kills you.
Here's the funny thing. I really think of you and I as like the same age, but you're like a whole old school generation. It must be growing up in New York is different than growing up down here. That's what I really think.
You know, the funniest thing was putting a pack of cigarettes on a T-shirt.
You and John Travolta, you did
Jimmy
that?
Dean did it.
You didn't do that.
I did that.
You were
So-
not old enough to. You didn't grow
I
up
didn't do
in
it
the
around
50s.
my parents.
You weren't even born then.
I was a high schooler. We did it in high school.
What year did you graduate high school?
78.
80.
78.
Wait, did you skip a few grades?
Yes.
You must have, because you
I
shouldn't have
did.
graduated until 80. So
I-
what years did you skip school? I don't mean skip
The
school. I
eight-
mean you
the eight-
graduated.
The 8th grade I didn't take. I went straight to the 9th and half of the 7th.
Wow. Well, you were like a brainiac in the Bronx.
I just played one. I made the SP classes.
Which is
Special.
you and my mother. I'm telling you.
9SP.
I feel like I say this all the time. The two of you.
She went into special classes too?
Yes. She
I was
skipped
so-
a couple grades also.
I was so bored that I told my teachers, "Can you give me college entry work? Because this is." I went to high school summer school. I went to junior high school summer school because I was bored, and playing baseball made me. I get bored very easily.
Really. I see that kind of.
So I went to summer school, and Juji went with me, and we got bored there. So we took Spanish. We took courses in Spanish because we felt that was a challenge. Because he didn't understand any of the language.
How?
It was in Spanish.
But isn't he like you?
His Spanish is not as good as
half
mine.
Puerto Rican?
Yeah. But we took the courses in Spanish, science,
How'd
social
you do?
studies. We got A's. But we had to work at it.
And how were the girls in those classes?
They were hottie tamales.
Yeah, you know, guys. There's a reason he took those classes.
I got to
in
tell you
Spanish.
something, fellas. Even if you're not intelligent, if you act intelligent, you get all the hotties. Because the hotties love intelligent men. True fact.
So you graduated high school at
So,
16.
fake it?
Yeah.
He said, "Fake
Yeah.
it till you make it."
Yeah, I went to NYU and I was 16. I was the youngest kid in my class. And then along came a gentleman by the name of Mordecai, Jewish gentleman. His father was a rabbi. And his father disapproved of me. That's why Mordecai hung out with me. But Mordecai was only 13. And he was a boy genius.
Wow.
So he said to me, because we were taking chemistry together, we were in the pre-med class. And he said to me, "Freddie, what are you talking about? It's really simple. E equals MC squared, for example."
He and Gio.
So I said to him, "What the hell does E mean? Why does it equal? And why is MC squared even in the equation? It makes no sense to me." He says, "That's why you won't be a doctor." He was the first to tell me. Because you're trying to put logical to the illogic.
I can't believe you graduated high school at 16. You went to NYU at 16?
Yeah.
Wow. No wonder you've had 25,000 jobs.
And I worked in college too. I worked for the Wall Street Journal. I sold Kirby vacuum cleaners. I was good at it. The Iron Horse, baby.
Way back in the day. You're still good at that, is all I can tell
I
you.
sold Mercedes-Benz trucks. I did a lot of stuff.
You've done a lot of stuff in the day. Wow.
I have, you know, you got to make a buck.
A million
A
hats,
million
right, Slick?
hats.
Slick, I got to ask you, how was
Yeah.
your show yesterday?
My show was nice. Like, basically, he also I had a guest in yesterday, and he hosts a talent show sponsored by 103.5 The Beat called Teen Open Mic Night.
Teen Open Night. Mike
That was the
night?
gentleman at 3 o'clock?
Correct.
Let me ask you a question. What was the lady that was with him? Was she part of that?
Shawnee.
Is she part of his crew?
Part of the crew, but she mostly works media, so she'll be behind the scenes.
She was behind the scenes.
Yeah.
She was amazed in here. I mean, they both were.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that Mr. Slick decides to keep his prosperity
You have to
of what
move
he's going
silent.
through a
You have to
secret.
move silent, you know, sometimes.
He was shocked. He says, "What do you mean he has a podcast? What do you mean he has his own show?" Where the hell did he think he was visiting? He was on your show.
No, what is it? I told him I work at a production company. I didn't go as far as explaining anything else. So the fact that he heard everything, and we used to be good friends. We used to talk on a daily basis, but now it's kind of like we talk whenever he wants to talk to me or whenever I want to talk to him.
When is that show airing? Tuesday
Tuesday.
on Slick Speaks. And what are you talking about?
And we are talking about teen open mic night, giving the teens of South Florida and I would say basically teens around the world a voice that they can.
Now he
or
did that show with his
platforms.
mask on, right?
He did that show with
With the mask on. I saw his
social,
mask.
socially distanced. He
Yeah.
had the mask.
He
on,
had the
but
mask
he took it
on.
off.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Very well. And he has a podcast.
He
Going
doesn't.
on.
He wants to see if he can join the Slick Speaks podcast.
He's well versed. He has good voice mannerisms.
What does he do?
He just had a baby, but he only
He had a
he's only-
baby?
yeah, he's only working for
You mean his wife had a baby?
Oh yeah, his wife had a baby, but like he just got a newborn. But basically, the only thing that I'm hearing is the whole situation with Teen Open Mic Night.
And where is that now being held?
It's being held in Miami because it's sponsored by 103.5 The Beat and
But it
several
can't
other
be in
sponsors.
person anymore.
No, not at all. He even told me they had to go all virtual because he was on a live feed yesterday. He said like at 6 p.m. he went on a live feed to actually still give the kids a chance to like have a platform to express their talents.
So
Well,
being that, here's my,
yeah.
my little, there's like a disconnect in the train track in my brain.
What's going on?
There is no train. Okay, go ahead.
I'm on this train, right, and I'm going down the track, and there's Slick. Let's start. There's Ant Media Production Company. There's the Brooklyn Cafe Show. There's our crew and the Slick Speaks podcast, social media streaming show. Then there's this teen open mic night in Miami that can no longer be in person, but yet they want to continue to give kids a voice, and they need a streaming platform.
So why not contact
And
the?
somewhere there needs
Yes.
to be a bridge between.
But that's
these
why
two.
Slick brought the kid in
Yeah,
here.
Yeah?
that's what I was thinking the whole time because
good.
he was telling me that he works with a radio personality called Stitches on 103.5 The Beat. So basically, I've been emailing Stitches on what I did for him yesterday because I gave her a copy of what I did for him or what we did yesterday, and basically I'm trying to see if we can put
You
him
know,
on.
in the day, there used to be a saying, leave one alive to go back and tell the story. You heard this, right?
It's
It's true. This is a true thing.
Sure.
The murderers and everything did leave one
Yes.
alive to go back and tell the story.
Like the story of Masada, yes.
Yes. So what Slick did, even though he's having difficulty saying it,
I'm sorry.
is that he brought in this kid and he impressed him without saying a word, which is ingenious. He didn't have to say nothing. I did more sell of Slick than he did. Now the kid's gonna go back and say, "You gotta check this guy out. This guy has a whole army behind him. We should be there." So he's taking the path of least resistance. I applaud. Nice job. That's a nice job.
No problem. Cause
How old is he?
I say he'll be 24 because he's younger than me.
Okay.
I say 24.
That's a nice job. I think that the girl, I made her a cup of coffee, and she was
And
like,
gave her an ice cream?
and I gave her, and we gave them ice cream afterwards, and they were like, "Holy smokes!" Anyway, talking about ice cream, yesterday we went to the post office
Yes,
to mail out the books to California so we can get a movie done for Amy Minty,
correct.
and they had the Daily News.
I don't know why you didn't buy it.
I didn't buy it because I didn't like what it said on the front.
Oh. You did not like the headline?
No, the Daily News used to be a bigger newspaper, longer. It shrunk now. It looks like a magazine.
But that's still in print is pretty amazing.
That they're still in print is amazing because you can get everything digitally.
Yeah.
Why would you buy it? But there is still old folk that wanted to hold on to it. And I smelled it. And it brought me back to that ink on Sundays when we used to go to the beach. And I had the Daily News was like a book.
Coney Island?
And it had, we didn't go to Coney, we went to Sherwood Island in Connecticut. And it was a book. And it had the cartoon section, it had the sports section, it had this section, leisure and all that stuff.
What was your favorite section to read in the newspaper?
Sports section.
Did
I
you
always
ever read the other?
I always started from the back of the newspaper forward. You guys ever read a newspaper? Do you start from the back?
A paper newspaper, not an online newspaper.
Yeah, I know.
I used to, but yeah,
gotta
I
be
never
clear.
started from the back.
You know
though.
what paper newspapers are?
I
right?
read everything from the back forward, except
You go
Amy
from the
Minton's
back
book.
because of the sports.
No, I read the comics first and then the news.
Yeah,
Oh, so you took but the comics were only on Sunday in the day.
but what is it?
Yes.
I'll read it traditionally, like when I used to get newspapers, but everything's online now. I'll read it.
Now, do you guys buy a newspaper to read it, or you get it from somebody else?
Somebody
Online.
else.
Back in the late 2000s, buy-in in New York.
Really?
But you must have been, what, 4 years old?
The late 2000s.
Oh, okay.
So I took my class in NYU, and I used to buy the Daily News because I was a fanatic in sports, right? And my professor says, Mr. Santori, you cannot bring the Daily News into my class. So I had to go to my locker and drop it off. Mr. Santori, you must bring the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal into my class. So I was forced to buy the New York Times on the subway, on the A train.
What about the Post? Was that a big thing?
That was my other newspaper for sports. But do you know that there is a mechanical way of reading the New York Times on the subway? The way you open it, the way you fold it, the whole nine. Did you know this? So I had to do this whole encryption on the train because the train was packed. So you have to fold it a certain way and it turns over a certain way.
The only reason I know this is because of my dad. My dad, we used to always get the newspaper growing up, and he would always read it in a certain way. And he never got rid of them, and there would just be, at the end of the week, there'd just be piles on the kitchen table of newspapers. Now there's no newspapers anywhere. But he would read it in a
Me too.
certain way. And I'd say, and I would watch this whole thing, not understanding, but I guess that's probably why, growing up in New York,
That's how you read
that's
it.
how you read a newspaper.
That's right, because you had to keep your elbows by your side and you had to be able to open the New York Times, which is a long paper, a certain way, right?
In the Wall Street Journal, too, right?
And then I used to see a lot of crime in the subways, right?
So then you would hide behind the newspaper?
No, what I did was I became an auxiliary and I got a badge. I had a cop badge. Auxiliaries had cop badges. And I put it on a chain and I wore it with the newspaper. Do you know for the last 3 years of my college, you gotta remember, I was only 16.
That's unbelievable.
For the last 3 years of my life, because I was an auxiliary, they gave me a seat. I had people sit next to me, especially seniors, sat next to me on the subway. It was like the safest
All
car.
right, so I need to clarify, because we talk about this auxiliary thing a lot.
Yes.
What does it mean? Is it like citizens on patrol that we see here in Florida? What's an auxiliary?
Yeah, true. I was about to.
Do you guys know?
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
Because you
'cause-
talk about it a lot, so now I just need clarification
Back
on what
in the
this whole thing
day,
means.
back in the day, auxiliaries were dressed like police officers, blue uniform, the whole nine, shirt, tie, pins, everything's the same. The only difference between us and them is that we had a tin shield,
Okay.
tin, not gold, it was tin, and it was formed like a star. Like if you see Chicago PD, they still have the auxiliary star. That's it. There was
What
no
kind of training did you have? The same as
everything.
police officer
everything.
training?
Yeah.
So you
well,
were trained?
no, we were trained, but we didn't go to the academy.
What were you allowed to do?
Well, they gave you a baton, and they gave you a walkie-talkie, and
Like
you.
Charlie Chaplin?
I'm gonna tell you something. I broke up a lot of fights with that baton, and then they train you how to use it.
They pay you, or was it volunteer?
No, it's volunteer. But I got college credit for it. NYU gave me 4 credits per semester for it, and then I stayed with Corpy. Me and Corpy were auxiliary, and
The
me and
names of your
Corpy.
friends crack
Me
me
and
up.
Corpy were like football players. We were big. We were big kids at the time. We used to work out. I'm gonna show you a picture of me and Corpy. I looked like Captain
And you were
America.
a big guy.
Yeah,
then.
I was big then, and they gave us the worst parts. I'll never forget. My beat was on Cumming Street and Seaman Avenue. Cumming Street and Seaman Avenue
No.
in Manhattan.
No.
Look it up. Look up Cumming Street and Seaman Avenue in Manhattan.
Okay, I want everyone just to
It's
think
there.
about the words he's using.
Cumming Street and Seaman
Cumming
Avenue.
Street and Seaman Avenue.
Yes.
You can't even make
Yes,
that
I
not
can't.
even a thing.
Me and
Kenny
Coffee-
Lerman, if you're watching, this is how he gets away with saying what
Ken,
he does.
it's the truth. Look it up. It's a real place. There's a park there.
And how do you? I don't even want to ask you. how
There's
you
a park there, and they gave Corpy and me this beat. We
Kenny,
had
are
this
you
tour.
listening to this? She's not even listening.
It's a true thing. So they gave us this tour, and we had the night shift. I think it was 4 to midnight. And it was cold, 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 cold. And nobody wanted this beat because it was a park. And a lot of bodies got buried in this park.
Have you found that intersection between Cummings Street and Seaman Avenue? Because I'm only
I
hoping.
found it.
I'll look it up for you. It's
I'd
true.
like to know the spelling of that's.
Cuming and Seaman Avenue.
Is it
It's-
Seamen? Seemen?
SEA.
SEA.
Yeah.
Dawn, I found it. I fact checked it. It is a real intersection
You found it?
Found it. Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Teddy says she fact checked it
Cummings
also.
Street.
by Inwood Hill Park.
Yep. By the park.
Yeah.
By the park.
Oh, I'd like to, let's see if we can find a cross street sign of it and put it up because only you.
Me and Corby took a picture of it because nobody would believe. I took
Only-
it back to my mother. I said, Mom, look at my tour. Look at my beach. She
I
says,
wonder
what?
who gave them idea of, yeah, let's do it. Why not?
I mean, seriously, on the cross streets, are you kidding me? Someone seriously has a sixth
Let's
sense
do
of
it.
humor.
It's like a joke. Like, hey, let's do it. Yeah, we
And I'm
funny.
going to tell you, it was a very nice part of Manhattan in the day. It got worse now, but that was our tour.
And what was it near?
It was a park.
Pregnancy Row and.
No, there was a park in there. I'm going to tell you something about that park. There were bodies found in that park. No play. That was a bad park because the drugs got really crazy up in the heights.
Don't you, no kidding, because who would name those streets like that?
Yeah, well, I never forget it. It was funny because when I went to my professors at NYU and they said, "Well, where do you patrol?" And I told them the name. They didn't believe me either, but there was no way of looking it up. You know, and they said it's a true street. I said, "Let's get on the A train," which took you right there.
You know,
And
your
what?
life is like what I used to watch in movies, but it's actually, right? Freddie's like a walking movie. Your stories, everything. It's like everything you see in the movies, but yet you've lived it.
You're not going to tell you something. Dawn never believes my story.
Because you're like a movie.
She then asked her mom, because your mom
My
was
mom
in New
knows
York
your
and she knows a
stories
lot
too.
of the places
Right.
that we hung out at. And she goes, "My God, you were telling me the truth. You were telling me the truth. You didn't believe that story."
It's amazing to me.
I was in the 3-4, which is located in 100. I'm going to say this, that's 181st. I'm going to say 183rd Street off of Amsterdam. That's the 3-4 precinct. That was my house. And you had to go in and you had to salute the sergeant when you got in there. And then a police officer would drive by and they turn on their bubbles. And you had to give your black book. And they would look to make sure that you took your notes correctly. There's a right way and a wrong way of taking notes for the police department. And they would sign it. And the more police officers that sign your books, the more merit badges you got. That's why those
Amazing.
things you see on the chest.
Do you remember the TV show that took place in a precinct? I can't remember the name of the show. Back in the day, like in the 70s. What was the name of that show? Like I can see the guy.
Fish was on that show, the old man Fish. And
Was that like what it was, like the precincts like that?
no, that was the detective's room. We didn't hang out in the detective's room. The auxiliaries hung out in the closet. they didn't have a place for us.
Honestly.
But they gave us a tour, right? And I used to see the police officers. Some of them used to have like candles. Some of them were praying that they came home.
Wow.
And then they had a dungeon. There was a cop shooting in the 3-4. Cop got shot. And they put these black curtains all over the place. And when a cop gets shot, I'm going to tell you something. It changes the atmosphere
Sure.
of everything. Everything got really serious. There was no kidding around till they caught the guy. And they caught the guy.
Unbelievable. Your stories have stories. Let's take a commercial break. Give us a call. Let us know your old stories. 888-994-4995. Stay tuned as we thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Not all CBD products are made the same. Here at your CBD store, our trained and highly educated staff can help recommend the perfect products for you. Stop in and see for yourself at one of our locations in Pembroke Pines, West Boca, Boynton Beach, or Singer Island. Or call us today at 561-437-1080. Again, that's 561-437-1080.
Introducing Black Tie Liquors, your one-stop shop for wine and spirit needs. Whether you're looking for an ice-cold pack of summer brews or just to grab your favorite bottle of Scotch whiskey, Black Tie Liquors has you covered. Come choose from a wide selection of beers, wines, spirits, or liqueurs. Or if you're in the mood, feel free to grab one of our fresh cigars. Stop by Black Tie Liquors today, located on 5970 South Jog Road, Lake Worth, Florida. Or give them a call at 561-968-0988. Amy Minty combines the hilarity of For Better or Money, the eroticism of For Love or Sanity, the mystique of For Sink or Swim, and the suspense of For Sex or Revenge, making her fifth novel, For Strip or Gamble, her best to date. Get your copy at amyminty.com or amazon.com. Get yours now.
You've been watching the Brooklyn Cafe Show. Join us each day and after hours as we talk about the hot topics to open the conversations and share a few laughs. Now, back to Dawn and Freddie S.
Teddy, do you have the street, my beat? You have it? Let's see
The
the
Beat
map.
Street.
You got it? There it is. There it is. Seaman and Cumming. There it is.
That is just beyond even. That is
See?
hilarious, Freddie.
But it's true.
Teddy, nice job on that one.
And it's funny because I'm glad that Teddy brought that up because nobody believes that story.
That's hilarious.
Barney Miller is the name of the comedy show that Dawn is bringing up. But Hill Street Blues. Hill Street Blues did something on national TV that has never been done at the time. You remember it? You remember what Hill Street Blues did?
What'd they do?
And the funny thing is that it caused a gentleman to leave the show with red hair that does NCIS Miami now. He's been doing it forever. He's a great actor, but he left Hill Street Blues because of what happened. But there was something that occurred for the first time on national television.
Really?
You guys don't know?
No?
One of the actors took a shower and showed his butt. They paid a $50,000 fine to get it done, and he did it in the shower. And everybody the next day was talking about the guy's butt on Hill Street Blues. You can look that up, because it's a true story.
And did he
Really?
stay with it, or
He
he
stayed
left?
with it? No,
They
he
make a
stayed.
big deal of it? Really?
They made a huge deal. In the day,
It was different.
that wasn't allowed. I Dream of Jeannie, they didn't even allow the belly button. They took it off the air because of her belly button.
Oh, wow. When they showed her foot, everyone got excited. Like, oh, look.
Well, you know, I Dream of Jeannie had a thong on. You can see it underneath the, yeah, look at him. Look at him. He's all smiles now. Uh-huh. Yeah, ready. I like her. Oh,
Teddy
you know,
only
there's like a
sees
fiend
the
over there.
face. Oh my gosh.
There's
Okay,
a
well,
fiend
okay.
over there.
Now I gotta go back and watch
Still,
to see if it
They're
was.
kind of strict on these things, aren't they?
They were,
In the
yeah.
day, yes, and they pay heavy fines. But Hill Street Blues did it because they wanted to change the crime scenes. You weren't allowed to show murders on television, like a shooting and all that. They had to cut away, all sorts of stuff. And then the rated R and the X became closer and closer. Like,
You're making
you know,
everyone miss New York, Freddie.
I'm gonna tell you, this happened all in New York City.
But the amazing thing to me is you really live this. Like, I grew up watching you on TV.
Freddie Prinze was my idol. They gave
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze, Chico and the Man. Hey, Chico and the Man, wearing them tight jeans. Told my mom I'm gonna be Chico one day.
And here you are.
And he changed the course of history for Hispanics on television.
Actually, speaking of that, this whole crew is, with Fuego changing the course now for women in the Hispanic
That's
community.
right.
Because I know Fuego focuses heavily on women. It's not necessarily women, but it's giving not only women a voice, which is everything that we do here, and we're going to talk about that today in the Florida Love Show as to why we even do what we do. But now it's reaching into different cultures, and the Hispanic culture, apparently, from what Claudia and Esperanza and everyone tells me, is different. As much as women in the American society have a hard time speaking in their voice and sharing their ideas, clearly not me anymore. The Hispanic culture is even more so.
I'm glad you brought that up because when you think of women in the Spanish television, it's hottie toddies.
Yes.
If you watch Telemundo and the soap operas, my goodness gracious, I didn't care about what they were saying. I was just looking at the women on there. They are hotter than hot.
And they're very straightforward and blunt and say, let me tell you the way it is. But I guess that's really not how it is.
But that's not the way that's not the verbiage is used in the
Which is
soaps.
interesting.
So all of a sudden I said, what if we took that out of the equation? I mean, they're still beautiful women, and they have something to say, and they're intelligent, and they have women empowerment, and the votes, you got to get up and vote. You know, all of this change, you want to see change, got to get up and vote. If you don't get up and vote, you're never going to change the inside of the equation, and that's what they're all about. And look at the flip. All of a sudden, they're saying, oh, that beautiful woman has something to say, and it makes sense, right?
It's
Chico and the
totally
Man, same
changed.
thing. He told Latinos, I'm here sending you a message. Get your education, stay in school, and unite. But do it the educational way.
And that is exactly what Fuego is doing, and it is gaining traction. And Claudia and all of the hosts have done an incredible job bringing forward. They had some great gift baskets that came yesterday. We've got fruit and flowers and coffee and champagne and caviar and salmon. We're going to have a nice little Viernes Social today at the 12 o'clock show. Dina's going to be making her drink special.
Yes, we
Drinks
are.
by Dina today at 12 o'clock.
Today, Gubba Rum, brought to you by Gubba Rum, is we're going to be doing. Now, there's some other things that I want to do with the Gubba people,
Okay.
because I want to expand that platform. Being that things around me are changing, I am going to change to stay ahead of the curve. And we are going to offer some kind of delight. Now, we do a show here on music on
Some kind of
Wednesday.
delight from the man who worked on Cummings Street and Seaman Avenue, really? Was
Now,
that the name of the park?
What?
Was that the name of the park?
No, I don't remember.
I'm teasing you.
I don't remember the name of the park. But it's funny because of everything I told you in that story, you remember the name of the street.
I remember everything you're telling me, Barney Miller. I grew up on these shows, but you lived these lives. And this is the amazing thing, and I keep saying it over and over again. You're not that much older than me, but your life experiences are, to me, the TV shows I grew up watching. But I grew up here in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. So it was a small town when I grew up there. Not now, but back in the day, 45 years ago, it was a small town. You grew up in New York, Manhattan, the Bronx. It's everything I would grow up watching on TV is the life you lived.
You remember Fort Apache, the Bronx, the movie?
I remember, yes.
You guys remember Fort Apache, the Bronx, the
Yes.
movie? Anybody? Teddy? No. Okay, Fort Apache, the Bronx. Look it up. I go to the movie theater, the Lowest Paradise on the Grand Concourse, and I go to see this movie with my sister. And in the middle of this movie, because it's in the South Bronx, and there's nothing but bricks, because South Bronx was destroyed. Fire after fire after fire. The little girl says, hey, that's my house. That's my house, in the middle of the theater. So I brought back, I was living on Popham Avenue.
Again,
Popham Avenue, yes. Popham Avenue in the Bronx.
spell it.
Popham. Popham Avenue. And across the
You know what it makes it
street.
sound like?
What? Popcorn? Popham. Got them Popham.
Popham.
Yeah, Popham Avenue. And across the street at 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 guys, 3 o'clock in the morning, start screaming, get out of the building, get out of the building. And they're tooting the horn, get out of the building. And what they did was they set the building across the street on fire.
Wow.
Now, this was a mammoth building. Had over, 800 apartments. It was mammoth in a good part of the Bronx. And they burned the building down because there was insurance fraud going on all over. And I'll never forget that all those people, all those friends that lost their homes. And my mother says, my mother took in 200 people into this 5-bedroom apartment we had.
Wow.
And they were in the hallways, and what were we going to do with all these families? And I went to see Fort Apache in the Bronx, and it's still in my head of what I grew up watching. But there was a bad time in the Bronx when they were burning the Bronx down. Everything was burning down. And I wanted to make a difference. I went to work for Charlie Rangel in Manhattan, who had a district in the Bronx, which makes no sense. But and I went also for the mayor of the city at the time was the black gentleman, Dinkins. I was involved in politics and then too, because I remember these things.
Unbelievable.
And it was really sad to watch.
Your stories are incredible. Teddy's grandma says you also couldn't have the sound of sirens because of the Cold War alerts.
Well, I don't know, that was before my
you.
time. But they used to put on the bubbles, and they had just come out with the white. What was the original color? And what did the original police cars in New York City look like? Teddy, look one up. It had
Yeah,
a
Teddy
fishbowl
wearing
on
it
top.
every day.
It had a fishbowl hiring on top, and it was white on top, and I think black or greenish on the bottom, and then they came out with the new ones, the white police on the side, and they changed it because they wanted to be more community-based and less afraid for the community.
But the one thing I have to say about New York, and I remember going there as a kid, we used to go all the time, and we would always go on Dad's tours and rest stops. My parents would drive us from here to there, to this one's house, to the synagogue, to that one's house, and Broadway and theater. The life, to walk around Manhattan, to see what was going on, and to go through Brooklyn, of course, and to see the stalls for grocery stores, not like we have here, massive stores. Totally different life, but community, and it has always, always come back. It came back from 9/11, they stuck together, and again, united the United States. It came back from what just happened in March, and again, they thrive, and we continue to look to New York and Manhattan and the Bronx and everyone there as a pillar of light, and they, no matter how bad it gets, they come back together and they stand strong, and they truly are a unifying force for the United States of America.
Well, they have to be.
But it's not a big state. It's, I
New
mean,
York
if you
State
think
is
about,
big.
look at as a state, you've got Texas, you've got Florida, you've got California. As the size of a state,
There you go. That's the old police car.
the size of a state it is, they always stand strong in unity.
You see the thing on top?
Yes.
That's the siren, and that's the light. And that was the old police car.
Like
I
Dragnet?
remember that. They took my brother, they arrested my brother, they put him in that.
I remember Dragnet. That was like that.
No, Dragnet was the two detectives in California. But that was the original, and things changed because the community was changing. And you're right, New York City is known for
Always
rebounding.
bring it back and rebound.
Do
and
you
unify.
remember what bridge? And you guys, if you know it, call in 888-994-4995. What bridge has the tram on it? Do you know that one of the bridges in Manhattan has a tram? Anybody know this?
Yes.
Nobody know this? Slick, you don't know this?
Is that the one that's like the skyline that goes across?
Yes. And where does it go? Anybody know? Teddy,
Roosevelt
you know?
Island.
I wouldn't know. Yeah.
Roosevelt Island?
I don't know. We'll look it up.
Am I right?
Maybe. Do you know I was born on Roosevelt Island?
Were you?
It was called in the day before it was called Roosevelt Island was called Welfare Island. Only pure, huh?
Roosevelt Island Bridge has the tram on it.
It doesn't?
It does. It's the
does.
Roosevelt Island
It does.
Tramway.
The tram goes from Midtown Manhattan to Roosevelt Island.
I get a bell.
It used to
So
be
sorry.
called Welfare Island when I was born in Women's Hospital. And only poor people were
And now
born
it's a
there.
very wealthy.
Now you can't afford to be there.
Exactly.
Now, I took the tram one time in my life, only once. And the one time I took it, it got stuck. The one time that I took the tram, it got stuck.
Good morning.
Good morning. And I was sitting there for 45 minutes. And I am afraid of heights. And here I am on this stupid tram. And I only took it and took it back, round trip, just to say that I'd done it. I only went to the Empire State Building one time in my life. I had a meeting on the 8th floor. That's it. I used to hang out at the World Trade Center. Sorry to hear that go. I used to hang out in the Windows of the World restaurant.
We have an artist coming on Monday, and she has a spectacular painting of Manhattan with the Twin Towers on it. She said it's one of
That's got to
everyone's
go there.
favorite.
That's where we got to put that.
It's got quite a pricey price point on it.
I don't care. I don't care.
So we're going to have her. She's from Russia, and she's going to join us today, but she's waiting to get some video. And she's going to be joining us virtually from her home in Stewart on Monday.
Is she going to bring the painting in?
We're in discussions about it because then she's going away for a couple months, and I'd like
So
to
I'll
help
start for
house
her.
some of her pieces and see them because and they're all about light and unity and hope. And there's one of Manhattan with the Twin Towers that is spectacular.
And you know that the Florida is considered little New York, right? There's more New Yorkers in Florida than there are in New York
But
City.
it's a different mindset. It doesn't. You can. What did it say? You can take the person out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of the person. At least that's what my mother
I
always
never
says.
heard of that, but okay.
Because no matter how many transplants you take from New York to Florida, you're still New Yorkers at heart.
Well, it's
It's a different mentality.
I told you the story that when 9/11 happened, I didn't know anybody else knew about it, and then I come down here. You guys felt it from all the way down here, and
because again, it unified the entire country on how everyone stood together in New York for something so horrific. And it gives me the chills. Everyone came together. There were flags on our windows and everything, and everyone stood strong for what that was. And it unified the United States again.
I tell you, it was something else. And it's one of the reasons that I moved out of New York. I couldn't take it anymore. It was just too much going on, and it was tough. It was really tough. But New York had some of the most. You guys ever went to the Statue of Liberty?
Yes.
Anybody?
Never did.
No.
Never did?
I was watching Hitch
did
the
you-
other day.
Most New Yorkers never been to Statue of Liberty.
You never been?
Nope.
Slick, you been to the Statue of Liberty?
No, not at all. I'm surprised you didn't go though.
Not only a handful of New Yorkers goes there.
The
Most-
Statue of Liberty, you gotta go. Before you die, you gotta visit the Statue of Liberty, the Empire State. But you gotta do these things. Teddy, you went to the Statue of Liberty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judge me.
It's funny.
Don't
Growing
you
up, we went
judge
on
me,
great
Slick.
We didn't travel overseas a lot, but we went to New York every summer, and we would do all of these things.
Do you know the Statue of Liberty has his arm up in the air, right? My brother got to go to the torch
Really?
right before they closed it. It was considered unsafe. And he got to go. And he always told me, I got to go. And then they put the wall up. You couldn't go anymore. You only stayed at the Crown. Did you know that?
I do know that. Yep, because it was getting too weak.
And so they took it. And then they redid it. Remember when they redid the statue?
And restorations. A lot of stuff. I think you brought everyone back to a happier, more unified time. So thank you. Everyone is watching. They're saying thank you, Freddie, for bringing us back to New York.
Hey, it's all there. It ain't gone anywhere. It's all in your head. All you got to do
The
is
New York
relive it.
state of mind.
New York
There
state of
you have
mind,
it.
baby. That's right.
Have a great morning, everyone. Stay safe. Be kind to each other. And the word of the week is still mask, according to Small Talk with Val. More shows coming up. We got a great show lined up for you at 12 o'clock and BYOB coming to you at 11. Have a great morning, and we'll see you in a little bit.
And don't be late.
Bye-bye.
Well, that's about it for today. Even though the show is over, the Brooklyn Cafe is always open for business. You're invited to join the fun every day from 12 to 2. If you missed some of the laughs from today, Dawn and Freddie S will bring more good cheer next time. You can follow the Brooklyn Cafe on Facebook at the Brooklyn Cafe TV to rewatch every minute of the show. Well, see you next time.
In the cold and sleepless nights, I wait for you to bring me back to life. In my electric eyes, it doesn't mean that time can thicken every single breath. I want to unfreeze my heart and fly away. That's why I wanna save her. Your moons and craters. Open up my eyes, waterfalls of ice, sweeping me away like an avalanche. Helpless as I fall, the words can't say it all, sweeping me away like an avalanche, like an avalanche. I listen for a sound